Hello, friends. Here we are at the group stages, day 5 of the 10th Alliance tournament. I am Zastro. I am here with my android friend Raby, and we bring you the next match, which is Northern Coalition versus Test Alliance. Please ignore. This is going to be a really cool match. Tell them what we're looking at, Raby.
All right, Test Alliance has brought our first Windicators of the day. So we've got 2 Windicators, a Damnation and Neros carries, 2 Ishkurs, 4 Enyos, and an Ares. That's a lot of damage between the Vindicators and the Enyos. Northern Coalition, on the other hand, has brought 2 Lokis, Curse, 2 Hurricanes and Neros, and 4 Krurs. Krur is an interesting choice. I like them. You don't really need this many of them, though.
No.
Plus, it's worth noting Northern Coalition hasn't brought a full 12 ships.
No, they haven't, which has not.
A
We've
10-ship
never
team.
seen. Well, I take it back, but it's almost never a good idea to bring less than 10 ships. We were talking about this earlier. Another thing they have is they have one of those Hurricanes sitting on top of the Vindicators at 0. So right off the bat, I think that guy's just going to die
Almost the
immediately.
entire NC team warped into range, but the one Hurricane warped in at 0.
I wonder if he did that on purpose, if that was a
It's
whoopsie.
possible that he was bait tanked, but I don't think he's going to be bait tanked enough.
Yeah, bait tank against 2 Vindicators sitting on top of you at 0. That guy's going to
And
die.
the Enyos that'll be there any time now. So we are seeing tracking disruptors and damps being applied to those Vindicators from the Northern Coalition team. It's not going to be enough to keep them from tracking a Hurricane, though.
No, absolutely not. And you can see he's already in half armor and dying. Some damage being applied to one of those Vindicators. Looks like they're choosing to primary the Vindicators and get the DPS
He's
down.
almost out of shields. Unlike a lot of the Vindicators we've seen in previous matches in the first prelims, these are armor tanked Vindicators, so this shield loss isn't a big deal.
Not
for
a
it.
big deal.
We're seeing ECM drones on that Vindicator, but he is running ECCM, so we should be able to get locks quite a lot of the
I think
time.
those assault frigates going to be able to run around the outskirts of the match and kill the Krurs, but it doesn't look like they've caught up with any of them yet.
No, at the moment, they're just basically holding back, actually, doing their E-War. There's a lot of armor maintenance bots out on the field from Test. Tech 1 armor maintenance bots for the most part.
There goes that Hurricane. It took a little longer for those Vindicators to kill them than I thought it would, actually.
Well, they did have the ECM drones and the tracking disruptors, so that would probably decrease their damage a little bit.
But with that Hurricane down, I mean, it's going to be a slow slide for NC Dot now.
And now we've got one of the Krurs down as well. I'll tell you a little bit about the Krurs, actually. They're not a ship most people see on TQ a lot, so you might not be familiar with them. They are from the same Blood Raider faction as the Balgorn that we saw last match, so they get a bonus to stasis webifying, to the strength of their web, the same bonus the Vindicator gets, and to neut amount. So they are small frigates that do a great job at tackling and neuting. They'll get on top of an opponent, neut it out so it can't do anything. They're actually really good tournament ships. I do like them, but 4 of them on a team like this, I think you'd be better served downshipping some of them to Tech 1 frigates so you can get a full 12-point team.
Yeah, and I mean, they'd be really good for controlling range and really dictating the maneuvering of the match, but it's just not, there's not enough DPS on the NC Dot team for me to really like this setup.
We're seeing damage being applied to a number of the test ships, but none of them are having any trouble being kept up by that Aneros. Good piloting by Taco Rice, the Aneros for Test Alliance, and he's keeping all of his frigates alive, even though through split damage.
Yeah, it's something you may not be used to hearing. Excellent piloting by a Test Alliance member.
That first Loki to get hit, Vampirus for Northern Coalition, is now webbed by the Vindicators, and he's going to be going down. The Vindicators, I've just basically ignored the Aneros. That's a great thing about a Vindicator setup. You can just say, who cares if they've got logistics? We're just going to out-damage everything.
Burn right through the tank. I don't even care what you guys have as far as weapon is. And it's working for him so far. No problem that Loki's in half armor and dropping. And there's nothing that Halu Tickmaul can do to stop him.
Tracking disruptors in general are great against turret battleships. When you have your DPS concentrated in a few ships, you can concentrate tracking disruptors on them. The problem with tracking disrupting a Vindicator is you'll see that Loki is moving 15 meters a second. And that's
11.
as fast as it can possibly go because it's double webbed by Vindicators.
Yeah, he's completely stopped. Now he's at a blistering 4 meters a second.
He's actually inside the Vindicator that's killing him. Now, these Vindicators actually probably, even at this speed, would track better if they pulled some range.
Yeah.
So we are seeing a piloting mistake on Test's part. If they could get out to like 5 kilometers, a little like around that, then they do a much better job of hitting that at 0. Even blaster ships have trouble hitting at 0.
When you're this close, the transversal goes up so much higher, even on ships that are really slow.
Yep.
But they're not moving. They're just sitting there.
You can see still all that damage is being applied quite well. The Loki, even while being wrapped, is still going down, and there it goes.
Yep, and I don't see any of the test ships in any kind of danger whatsoever.
No.
So this could be another completely one-sided victory. I was really hoping to see a little more closer battles here at the beginning, but haven't had it happen so far.
I do really like this setup from Test. It combines Vindicators, which have been an excellent ship so far, with assault frigates, which are going to be a ship that really takes over, I think, as the 12-man teams go forward. The ability to field a lot of these Ishkars and Enyos gives you a lot of possibilities. You get a bunch of mid slots for Ewar, as we're seeing both Damps and Tracking Disruptors applied to the Northern Coalition team. It also gives you the ability to field a lot of damage for very few points. Now, we are seeing Tracking Disruption being used against the Curse for Northern Coalition. There you go. Looks like the guy got wise, as I was saying, and switched it to a Loki, because that was a mistake, considering the Curses almost never have turrets.
Mm-hmm. You know, I was thinking before this match, just based on how well they did at the prelims, if there were any of my bro alliances that would probably not do so well in the group stages, it would have been Test Alliance, but here they are proving me completely wrong.
Test Alliance was the last place team to make it through. They survived only by the grace of Hun Reloaded.
Yeah, they squeaked through, and I believe they paid Hun Reloaded to, well, I think how it went is Hun Reloaded blackmailed Test by saying that they would suicide Friggs to keep Test out of the Alliance unless Test paid them off, and Test did pay them off, and that kept Test Alliance in the game just barely, the 32.
We will say that
teams.
Cases like that where nothing is being nothing's slowing down the match, where it's just talking about bartering for a frigate kill here or there. That's been something that the judges so far have been very lenient towards, so it's not the kind of thing that is getting people banned.
Right. We don't want to see fixed matches. Nobody wants to see a fixed match, but coming down to the very end, once you know what's going to happen in terms of who's going to win, just buying a point.
Metagaming is a huge part of EVE, and this tournament does reflect it, but it's so far, and hopefully will continue reflecting it while also being entertaining, and that's what's really important.
Yeah, I think it's been an excellent tournament so far. All the matches have been fun. I get proven wrong with every one of my predictions. So
yeah, I predicted NC Dot here too. I'm sorry, Test. I didn't have faith in my bros.
That's what happens.
But the Honey Badger victory here is going to be very sweet. Northern Coalition Dot brought out a team that just didn't seem to really have a strong focus.
Yeah, well, it just didn't have the DPS. And maybe that's just really apparent because the team they're going up against has 2 Vindicators. But I'm looking at 2 Lokis, a couple Hurricanes, and I just don't see the damage potential there.
The curse is down now for Northern Coalition, so those track disruptors that were being applied to Vindicators are gone. So what little DPS reduction that was giving them is off the field. They've taken down the Anuris now for NC Dot. It's really just a cleanup job. But we may see an Enyo die, and it looks like an Enyo for Test is going down. But it's possibly just because he's out of range of the Aneros.
Yeah.
Or the Aneros got a jam from those ECM.
Well, he's getting rep now.
There we go. Yeah, it may have been a jam.
Taco Rice saving the day again. Wow, a good Logi pilot on Test Alliance. Who knew?
Who would have thought? Probably being trained by PL though.
Oh yeah, of course. Takes straight credit for everything.
Test and PL have been flying together a lot, and Test and the PL's awesomeness has been rubbing off on Test and down in Delve. So that explains all of this, I think.
Knowing Test Alliance, I think that's a lot to hope for.
Mostly it's been Test's awfulness rubbing off on...
Yeah, I think it's gone a little both ways here.
But we're now seeing one of the Couriers just in very low structure. Looks like he got range and managed to get away, but he's going to go down eventually. Probably they'll send some drones after him and take him down. Yeah, he's got some warriors on him, so there he goes down.
Yeah, still 2.5 minutes. I think Test will get the slam dunk here. I think they could chase everything down, but NC Dot's just going to run away.
Then it doesn't matter that much.
Yeah, the points...
it's bragging rights at this point.
Yeah, points were so important in the prelims because you had to get in that top 32 bracket.
Do you know where all of these points would have been very useful for Test?
Last weekend, yeah.
That would have. This would have been the kind of thing they really should have done last weekend. But they did make it through, and now they're proving that they can handle the 12-mans. So this is a team that had some big struggles with 6, but 12v12, they're starting off on a very strong note.
It was a very strong setup. I like the dual Windicators that they have here. I'm sorry, I was about to make another Windicated pun, but I've been told that I have to lay off on Vindicator jokes.
Yeah.
I'm restraining myself, guys, for you.
Another Courier dropping for Northern Coalition. At this point, it's just a matter of chasing down the last ships. We're seeing Colonel Kurtz's NC Dot Hurricane running away from the battle, dishonorably trying to escape, retreating in the opposite direction. Yeah. Or advancing the opposite direction, I guess you could say, is what the way he'd put it. But he's now tackled by the Ares of Faith. And
yeah, Colonel Kurtz, don't die like a coward. Once you know it's gone, you might as well just like rush an Ares or something.
We can see now, on if you can see it on the tactical overlay down the bottom right corner of your screen, the entire...
He got one!
The one Ares died when it went in to do the suicide tackle, but it did the job, because now that Hurricane has the Enyos all on top of it, it's going to have the Vindicators very close behind and going to go down. So the Ares died with a noble purpose.
Yeah, Fifey from Test Alliance, the one casualty. We will mourn your loss. But, I mean, If I were flying an NC dot right now, if I knew I was going to lose a match anyways, I'd go out and blaze glory. I wouldn't be trying to run around like this.
Yeah, charge right at the Vindicators.
Yes, go right at him. See how good you do. Curious to see.
Unless
Hurricane
that
versus
Hurricane is just too expensive for him to lose.
Oh,
He just can't afford
yes.
the loss of the Hurricane, because it's not like NC Dot has tons of tech or anything else.
I love Hurricanes on TQ because they're cheap, so I can just fly them into my death a whole lot.
However, and this is another example of a ship that's cheap on TQ, not cheap in the tournament.
Yeah,
Hurricanes
13
are 13 points. Honestly, you're better off with a 10-point Cyclone.
Yeah, and if they brought Cyclones instead of Hurricanes, NC Dot could have fielded a full team of 12 and
Yep.
had extra frigates.
which
out
would
there
have been
for
much
tackling and
stronger.
whatnot.
But that is the end of the match. Test Alliance, please ignore doing an amazing job in their
Internet Pro
first
Fist
match.
test.
And we'll send you back to Michael Bolton, who's smugging out, I'm sure.